I'm Erin Heydt with 97.5 The Fanatic, and I asked the hosts how they felt about the Jim Washburn firing.
My thoughts were that this is the most dysfunctional organization that I've seen in a really long time. I mean, you were prepared for it like the end of the Rich-Kotite era and the end of the Ray Rhodes era because they were incompetent. But you look at this situation, you go, well, you know, Andy Reid's a pretty successful coach here, so what's going on? These wheels are all coming off. And I started to think, is he actually trying to do this to save his job? And I said, no, that can't be it. I think he thinks that maybe he's saving his job. But I think that the ownership is just sitting there going, you know what, let the guy go. He's going to get fired at the end of the year. But we're trying to be benevolent about this, and he's making us look like fools.
Pretty crazy. Like 6:45, 7 o'clock, I see it online, and you're like, wow, something must have happened last night. We know he was upset with Jason Babin getting canned, but he still coached last night, and they probably got home 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they already have a new coach that's already in place. That's the biggest thing. It's one thing if Washburn gets fired, but it's another, they already have the coach that's replacing him. So certainly fishy, and you really have to wonder what's going on here. And I can't believe for the life of me that Jeffrey Lawyer would keep Andy Reid here past this season. But I'm just saying, he doesn't sound like a coach that's going anywhere. He's cutting guys, he's firing coaches, and he now today announces Nick Foles as the starter for the rest of the season. This sounds like a guy that's staying with this organization.
One of the few bright spots in the Eagles game yesterday was the play of the defensive line. They played really hard. They really chased Tony Romo. They shut down the run. They played a really good game. If the defensive line wasn't making the play, nobody did yesterday. And he's the catalyst. But it's just like this whole level of dysfunction is so great right now that there's like, you know, there's like literally a guillotine over there. And each week somebody's head gets chopped. And yesterday it was Washburn.
Well, it seems like there was something that happened inside the locker room. A lot of these guys really did like Jim Washburn, especially on the defensive line, obviously the position that he coached. Jason Babin was his guy, so it seems like there was, you know, some turmoil. He wasn't happy about Jason Babin being let go, and from the stuff that I read this morning, it seemed like they used the word cancer. Jim Washburn was a cancer inside the locker room, and he's a coach. You know, it's hard enough communicating and getting 53 players on the same page. You need all the coaches, and that just seems like, you know, that should just happen. But this guy wasn't on the same page with Andy Reid, so he let him go.
Well, I mean, it's starting to become a trend nowadays. I mean, Eagles lose a game, well, let's find a scapegoat. You know, previously it was Juan Castillo. Now this morning it's Jim Washburn, and you know, 28 games of the wide nine, and it was probably about 22 games too long. I think we all realized that it was a gimmick. It was a defensive shtick. It was a failed experiment from the jump. And if you think about it, you brought in a defensive line coach before your defensive coordinator, so you kind of cut the legs right out of your defensive coordinator before he ever got established. So it seemed like from the beginning it was probably doomed to fail.
I think he should have dyed his goatee like I do, because it was way too white. And when you let your goatee go white like Jim Washburn do, you lose respect of your players. So Jim Washburn, take the wide nine. The wide nine is, well, let me just say this. There's a defense that will, you know, it's a copycat league. Wide nine will not be used ever again by any team in the history of the NFL. You make that a lock. And also the other part of it should be called the wide nine and the wide open middle of the field defense. That's the Jim Washburn defense. Thank you, Jim. Have a happy holiday, and thanks for participating.
Want to see more from me? Check out my Twitter handle, Heidi042.
Look at that. Feel that.
It's definition.
No, is that not cut? I want people to see this. This is the first time I've unsheathed the gun show here on the...
I appreciate you doing it.
Thank you. I just wanted to do that so people see hard work.